was actually kind of liking that one. I thought it was kind of nice with like the Ricky, and it was all very very vinyl and I think very topical and appropriate for the event convo that we're doing today. Well, hey, welcome back to this special Vinylthon live stream of the Mike Seibert Radio podcast. We are coming to you on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and Facebook Live and who knows what else. Hey, welcome back to Mike Seibert Radio. I am your host and got a really fun show for you today. We are talking about Vinylthon 2022. That is an event that is going to be happening locally at the Record Room at the Record Emporium. Well, I mean, it is an emporium of records, but no, down at the Retro Emporium in Kent, in partnership with a institution that is very dear to me, 89.9 KGRG-FM. And in a story that I'll tell in just a bit, this is kind of like it's a small world after all. But I'll talk about that in just a sec. Rather than just telling you about this cool event, I thought I would bring on the architects of this cool event that you're going to want to check out Saturday, April 23rd at the Retro Emporium in Kent. And joining us now on the Mike Seibert Radio podcast live stream, it is the owner, operator, proprietor of the Retro Emporium. It's Ann Smith. How you doing tonight?
Good.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Greatly appreciate it. I've been a fan of the shop. I've been a fan of the work that you do and the stuff that Greg does, and I'm always happy to give a platform to my homies over at Retro Emporium because it's just such a cool shop.
Thanks, Jay. You doing this for us.
You're welcome. And also joining us from 89.9 KGRG-FM, broadcasting in the shadow of Green River College down in Auburn. It is someone who I go way back with, and ironically enough, in like the last little bit, we've suddenly reconnected after several years, and it's super awesome. So without any further ado, Andrea Soto, please, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Mike. It's nice to chat.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. So before we get into the event and talk about what Vinylthon is and where it came from and why we're doing it, I got to tell a story. So, like I mentioned in these intros that, over the last few years in this Mike Seibert Radio podcast era, I've become friends of Ann and Greg down in Retro Emporium. I've had Greg on a number of times to talk about his various comics projects, Junior Braves of the Apocalypse and Starlight and I think a couple other things too that I don't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, I've been a friend of you guys and have always been excited to give you that platform. So when I saw this event on the Retro Emporium Facebook page, says Vinylthon with a really cool graphic, I was like, oh, hey, that's cool. I know they've been doing a lot of stuff with like the Record Room and really kind of going into that old music store vibe, which is super rad. But then I saw a very familiar logo on there, the familiar red and black of 89.9 KGRG-FM, which every podcast, every live stream, every show is somebody's first show. And I haven't talked about it in a number of years, but KGRG is where I came from. That's where I got my start. And it's an institution that is very dear to me and is something that I hold in great esteem and will be evangelical about it whenever I can. It's like my wife, Lucky, she literally told me a story day before yesterday where like she was I think she was getting a coffee and the person that she was talking to making the coffee was like, "Oh man, I'm really interested in getting into radio." And she's like, "Well, let me tell you, my husband, he went to Green River College and went to KGRG and got his start there, and now he's doing all kinds of other cool stuff. So it's a really cool foot in the door. Blah blah blah. Go check out Green River College." But anyway, so I've indoctrinated my friends to be evangelical about the KGRG as well. But so anyway, Vinylthon, I saw this event and I saw that it was in partnership with KGRG, and I didn't really know who was involved or what it was. So I reached out to Anne. And I was like, "Hey man, I see you're doing this Vinylthon. Do you want to come on the show and we'll talk about it and promote it?" And Anne was very, very excited to talk about it. And I was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, who are you working with over at KGRG there?" And parallel to that, literally the same day at the same time, I'm messaging my good friend Andrea, who I've just recently reconnected with, saw one of your open mic comedy shows, and I was like, "Hey man, Retro Emporium is doing this cool Vinylthon thing, and it looks like KGRG is involved. Is this on your radar? Because this seems like this is pretty rad." And like at the same time, Andrea hits me and says, "Yeah, dude, that's kind of my thing." Meanwhile, Anne's like, "Yeah, I'm chatting with Andrea about it," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's time for a group text." And long story short, that's kind of why we're here today. I kind of brought everything together, but it never ceases to amaze me how small the world can be, where something that I've been doing more recently with the podcast and connecting with Retro Emporium, and something where I did when I got started doing broadcasting in KGRG, they're coming together, and I like a good crossover. So that's my very silly long story, and I see our good buddy Chase has joined us in the chat. So shout out to formerly Factually Chase, who's out there, and if you want to hang out with us and send us questions about Vinylthon or the Retro Emporium or KGRG, feel free and hit us up in the chat. Regardless of what platform you're on, and we'll take a look and answer them as we go. But I guess that's where I would like to start. Is what is Vinylthon? And from there, let's kind of talk about how it's a KGRG thing, and then talk into how that becomes a partnership with Retro Emporium. So, Andrea, I'd like to start with you and just say, like, yeah, hey man, what is this Vinylthon? What is it?
What is Vinylthon? Vinylthon is essentially a day to celebrate radio, just in general, and it helps raise awareness and raise money for radio programs. And everybody who gets involved is going to spend a whole day, April 23rd, just playing vinyl. So it was also, I think, in the past it was called like Record Day. There's been a lot of different incarnations of this radio retro vinyl thing, and its current one is Vinylthon. Um, so yeah, so I was brought this event by our big boss and said, "Hey, there's a radio event going on. Maybe, just maybe, us being a radio station, we should be involved and do something about it." So I started thinking like, okay, what can we do? Okay, we need to be playing vinyls. Where can we have this event? Are we going to just do it on campus? Um, and then I started to think, well, let's see if someone in the community would be interested. So I started looking up all these different like record shops in the area, music stores, and that's how I came across Retro Emporium. And it's funny when I had like a list of like 8 different places, and I brought it to our interim director John, uh, and I said, "Hey, what about these 8 places?" And he said, "Retro Emporium." And I was like, "That makes it easy."
Nice.
I'll I'll send him an email. So yeah, the deal is that we're just going to be setting up a little table over there and talk about Vinylthon, direct people where they can donate to these radio scholarships, and we'll be taking donations for KGRG directly as well in our little jar, and just talk about our radio program because we're still here, and we're offering classes, and it's a great program. I mean, you said you're evangelical about it, so am I. It was like the best. It was the best time. I mean, crazy times at times, but
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Best
yeah,
times.
it was a great learning experience in a lot of different ways.
Well, in a lot of ways, I've mentioned on this podcast that is spun out of my old KGRG radio show. I basically never stopped. It's just
Mhm.
my platform changed. Instead of a radio station, I just do it on the internet, and now it's evolved even further. Now it's this live stream video thing. It's like, my God, we're doing videos and all this, all the technologies, but it's yeah, it's just the spirit of having fun and camaraderie and all that other stuff. And we could talk more about the radio program itself, and how folks can get involved, and how stuff is still happening on campus and things like that. But I wanted to ask Anne how what really kind of got you interested in this project and interested in having a bunch of ragamuffin college kids in the back of your shop?
Well, so we opened the record like or November 20, and so it's been a great year, good build up. But now I think I really want something to kind of just ramp up excitement about it and get more people here. And so I thought, what better than to like kind of jumpstart that with an event such as this? And so I just figured it'd be a good jumping off point for future events too. And so when I got the email, I was just like, yes, this is exactly what I want. I actually mentioned it to a couple customers today. I've already got people excited. So I think it'd be great.
That's awesome. Now, over at Retro Emporium, it's taken a few evolutions over the last couple years. Like you had a game room for a while, and now it's kind of evolved into this music space. And I was wondering if you could talk a little more about one, I guess since we're here, kind of talk about the shop in general, but then by extension of that, kind of talk about what you've been doing specifically with the record room and what the vibe is like.
So, like I mentioned, previous to COVID, our back area was we had machines, we had Pokemon League going. So when that all pretty much got shut down, we had no option but to pivot and try something else. So we already had a small bin of vinyl in the other room. While we were kind of thinking, should we just go all in? Should we do? So I thought about it months, and I also worked in music stores. I worked for corporate music stores for 10 plus years, from like 98 to about 2008 to pretty well. I pretty much know all the music and just kind of run a music shop in general. So I thought, okay, so let's do this. Luckily, a couple of really good kind of bulk buys to beef up what I had, and we added a couple more bins, and then next thing I know, I'm actually purposefully buying CDs again. and cassette tapes. And I really, it became what I wanted it to be, which is kind of a funky little, next door record shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, the other generation or to do this came out of that there was no music stores in Kent. You either have to drive to Seattle down to Tacoma, and so other than like the small little vinyl rack at Target or Walmart, these kids in this area have no place to go. So I thought, why not a place that they can come hang out? We have music posters, getting a little bit more merch and stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, there's no more mall music stores. I can offer that. And it's been
very cool. So Chase asked a question here in the chat, and I thought this would kind of pivot us back to talking about Vinylthon there at the shop. And again, as a reminder, Vinylthon 2022 is a in-person event that is going to be held at the record. I'm sorry, what are we calling it? The record shop, the record store in the back of. I'm having a brain fart. What we call the music store, the Retro Emporium. Record room. Jeez.
The record room. Yeah.
I have it right in front of me. I just my brain just froze. It just seized. So anyway, that event is going to be happening Saturday, April 23rd in the record room at the Retro Emporium in Kent in partnership with 89.9 KGRG-FM. And so the focus of the event is to, bring awareness to the, next generation of radio stars and to, raise funds for that as well. It's a bit of a fundraiser. And Chase asks, is the only way to donate to this by donating directly to KGRG, or will like a portion of record sales or anything else be donated to KGRG as well? So what do you guys think of that? Because Andrea, you had mentioned that KGRG is going to have a table at the event, and you're gonna have the good old fashioned tip jar. But outside of that, if folks wanted to directly contribute to KGRG, what would be the best way for them to do so during this event?
So right now, that's kind of the way that we're doing it. It's very old school. We're working on the old link on the website. So pending. So yeah, if you want to donate and you really, really want to support, I would encourage that you show up on April 23rd. After that, just stay tuned. We have different, social medias. We're on Facebook and Twitter and not Instagram, mostly Facebook and Twitter. And that's a good way that you can keep up to date when, that starts to open up more.
Gotcha. Very cool. So folks can come to the event, they can kick into the tip jar, and they can, chat with the student DJs there and learn about the program and, kick into the tip jar if they're able to, but also, they can buy stuff from the Retro Emporium and get vinyl records and things like that, and all that stuff benefits Retro Emporium. So there is a separation of church and just to make that real clear. And I think, Chase, you have a really good question, but that's separation of church and state, separate thing. So you can contribute to KGRG directly via the tip jar at the table at the event. So I think we got that clarified.
I think we'll put maybe on, like I said, the social media when you can update online, or donate online.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak too far out of school, but I remember having some challenges connecting with the Green River College Foundation and figuring out where things go and where links go. I am glad that the website that I built is still mostly intact. You kids haven't broken it too much. But added
Was that
to it,
you?
though.
Was
Well,
that you?
yeah,
Oh my gosh, I
yeah.
totally forgot that.
I have a plaque hanging in my home office that says 2016 Department of the Year Webmaster for that website I done.
Webmaster Mike.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, fun times. That was
Yeah, not
that,
mixed master.
yes, thwip. But so yeah, I guess from here, I guess let's just kind of talk about Andrea. Talk about what makes KGRG so awesome. That's the only way I can kind of segue from there. Because like I mean, I don't want to tell your story for you, but like you
Oh,
have
please.
you have a really cool story in that like you I mean you were basically like right out of high school, right?
Hmm.
And just jumped in, hanging out with us community college folks, kids of all ages, folks that look like me, folks that look like you. It was a really cool eclectic bunch. And then like most community college folks do when they come straight out of high school, they do the community college thing, and then they go off to real college and do that whole experience. But Andrea, you've come back around and you've returned to the KGRG. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I would just talk about kind of what that whole darn experience was for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, fill me in if I forget anything. Um, let's see. Yeah, so I started right out of high school. I came to Welcome Day and I had all of my um all of my classes picked out. And then I walked up to the radio booth and found out, oh, this is a thing. And I saw our old friend Corey. He said, yeah, it's right over here. And he pointed to where it was. And I was like, excuse me, what? And I swapped out one of my classes so that I could take a radio class my first quarter. So really from there on, I was just taking any position somebody would give me. I was music director at the AM station. I was then program director of the AM station. Then I was the program director of the FM station. Um, and that was kind of my life for 3 years. And I hosted a show for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, I think for anybody who's artistic and really passionate about talking about things that they care about, or passionate about, the arts or sports or whatever, and has this sort of this bug to like perform
Mm-hmm.
or just speak publicly. It's a great outlet, and I definitely walked in a very very shy person, and I opened up very very slowly over the years, because it kind of gives you that confidence, and it makes you practice. Okay, it's okay to talk in front of people. Because it always sounds great hypothetically, but to do it for real takes a lot of practice, and you really have to build that confidence. And I think KGRG was a great place for that for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, to the point where, and I remember when I first knew you, I mean, you've always been funny, but you've always you've had interest in comedy, but like more on the backside of it. You'd always aspired to want to like write for comedy shows or like be part of variety shows as like, you know, like a producer or behind the scenes type of person. But I recently come to find out you've been pursuing stand-up comedy and have been doing a bunch of open mics. You want to kind of talk about that experience and how that kind of in a weird way kind of spins out of your stuff on the radio when you were a young person.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've always been into stand-up. I mean, ever since I was a young teen, I loved stand-up. And then I think, you know, during kind of my maybe last year or so of being at KGRG, I was really thinking about, I'm doing this show. It's a music show because I'm really passionate about music, but I'm also really passionate about comedy. And so I wanted to bring like funny bits and kind of mix music and comedy together. So we had like a segment called Rockstar Fighting League. So we basically had a cowboy hat filled with different rock stars' names in it, and we would just pull two out and say, okay, Slash is fighting Ozzy Osbourne. What is their weapon of choice? What are their moves? Who wins? And we have to debate it. So that was like the perfect marriage for me. But the craziest thing that I found is during this time, I was like, man, it would be so awesome to be a comedy writer. And the only person I told was you, Mike.
Oh, really?
I was kind of embarrassed. I was like, like comedy writing's really cool, but like who does that? And I don't know, but like that would be awesome. And I was telling you, I was like, man, that's like a dream job.
Yeah.
And so when I left Green River, very, very early on when I started going to UWT, I was reading a book written by a comedian and I like, and I was like, you know what? I gotta see if there's a comedy club around here. I'm just gonna look. And there was one a mile away. And I was like, well, I can't back out now. Like I have to look into it. So ever since then I've kind of done it on and off. And yeah, I haven't done it a ton, and especially with the pandemic. I mean, that really threw a wrench in things. But it's kind of been a goal of mine to do it more, and I really enjoy it. And yeah, so for you to be like the first friend that just like showed up, I was like, Mike,
oh my
see,
gosh.
I told you I like comedy.
I have to tell this story very quickly. Said nobody ever, like I tell stories quickly, but yeah, brevity is not my first best strength. So yeah, Andrea had posted on her Instagram very casually, very low key, oh, by the way, I'm doing comedy at this thing, and I was like, wait a sec, if I leave work right now, I can make it to that show. So I left work in Seattle. I sped down to Tacoma, and when I got to the club, I popped in and I didn't see you yet. So I wasn't sure like if either you weren't there or whatever. So I pony up to the bar, and as I'm there, I start thinking internally. I was like, wait a sec. So it's probably a good thing that I haven't seen her yet. I think I'm just going to kind of try to stay incognito because, like, you know, if she's getting ready for her set, she probably wants to, like, focus on her notes and get composed and all of that.
I was not composed, by the way.
But I was thinking that, like, the last thing you would need is a distraction from some dude from the old college radio days. Like, I think if I remember correctly, once we eventually connected, like, we hadn't seen each other in like 6 years or some such like that. It was something stupid.
At least four, maybe five.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Not
somewhere,
6, not 6, because that would be back then. That would be back at the height of our powers. What am I talking about? You know, when you get to a certain age, things are either like last week or 6 years ago, and it's rarely either.
I'm like 6 years ago, I think we were still talking in a parking lot, like, see ya. Oh, by the way. And then
Yeah, exactly.
right, bye. But remember that one thing? And then we just
Oh my
stand in the
God.
parking lot talking.
Those conversations are the best, though. But
I
I mean,
know.
it's the camaraderie of being at a college radio station with homies. But anyway, so I got it in my mind that I'm even if I see Andrea, I'm not going to reveal myself because I don't want to, I don't want to distract her. So I get a beverage, and then I get another, and then I get a hamburger, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? I think I was there for at least, I don't know, an hour or so. And then at some point I turned my head and I clocked you in the back. I'm just like, oh shoot, there she is. Oh no. Oh no. Hopefully she doesn't see me. And I thought, okay, well, maybe she'll be performing soon. And maybe like another half hour, 45 minutes after that. And then you performed and did your set, and it was great. And I have reevaluated my relationship with vitamins.
If you were there, you get it.
Yeah,
Um,
nobody gets that. It's fine.
yeah, no, what's funny about that is yeah, I asked to go later on in the set. I didn't realize he put me second to last, and I was having a heart attack by the like 11th person. I knew there were like 16 or 17. So for like six people, I was turning to the back looking at the host being like, "Is it me now? Is it me now?" And it was just, yeah, I was freaking out. I was freaking out. That I'm glad you're maybe you're just being nice, but that was not the way the set was supposed to go. I was running on a lot of adrenaline.
That's fine. I mean, again, much like any other kind of performing, you have to do it, and
Yeah.
and it's yeah, no,
It was fun regardless.
it
So,
it, remi- it reminds me of like things that you do on the radio or in podcasting or any kind of performing. It's like the person on the other side of the speaker doesn't know that you're doing things out of order. So like when you told me your set ended up being completely out of order, I don't know
yeah.
that because I don't know your set. I didn't see your notes. So
Right.
like it's like for me, I don't really know. But yeah. So after you performed, we hung out for a few, and it was great. And you shared with me that you're back at KGRG, kind of doing a new show and doing the thing and yeah, it's awesome. And now you're hanging out with my other cool friends, doing cool stuff with them. It's like it's
Yeah.
again, it's just a really cool small world. Now, speaking of cool things and small worlds, and we're so we're here live at, chatting on the live stream about Vinylthon coming up on the 23rd, but this isn't the only interview that you did today. You want to talk about some of the visitors that you had at the Retro Emporium earlier today?
Oh my gosh. So much like Andrea, like I am not a very gregarious, outgoing person. For me, even on a daily basis, to interact with people. So I know we had this interview set up, but then also like 2 ago, one of the producers at the evening show for our King evening show,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I want to come and do this thing for your shop, and I'm out going, what? How? I don't even know. So I'm like, oh, okay, sure. They came in today at like 3, and I warned them like the worst person. Like I'm not good with this, but they put me right. It was great. We did a great fun little tour around the shop. So it's just kind of funny how I'm like, I have 2 interviews on the same day. I don't even know what to do.
It's like, what is this life? So they
Uh-huh.
did a they did a piece for about the shop, and that's going to be on Evening Magazine, on King 5, on what is it coming up next Monday, if I remember correctly.
Monday 25th.
Ah, very good. That's right.
So
That's
next.
right. So yeah, so tune in on Monday the 25th to King 5 and see the Retro Emporium spotlighted on Evening Magazine, which is awesome. I always smile when I see the Retro Emporium in the press. Like I saw like some random YouTuber who I don't know at all posting about like going through the Retro Emporium, and I just thought it was the darndest thing. And I'll see like articles pop up from time to time, and things like that. It's become quite the neat little place that I think means a lot to a lot of folks, and I think a lot of that is because the care that and you and Greg put into the decoration, the curation of the collection that you guys have. Like before I started the show here, a friend of mine was asking me, well, Retro Emporium, what is that? And asked me to describe it. And the way I described it is it's a it's a nostalgia store, but it's kind of like a thrift shop, except not. It's the difference between, I would say, Retro Emporium and say like I don't know, like a regular degular, either like, I don't know, shop of its kind, is the curation. Like you have like a good combination of like brand new fresh stuff, a lot of like cool crafts and snacks and sodas and things like that. But you also have plenty of previously loved stuff. Like you've got like a great selection of retro video games, but you've also got like contemporary hardware to hook your old Nintendo to a HD TV, things like that. So it's like I've always been impressed and struck by the combination of current stuff, but with like old classic stuff as well. So like you've got like stuff I'm interested in, like like some old Transformers and Star Wars figures and things like that. But it's not like a junk shop, to put it a different way. So I guess in your own words, since that was kind of the way I kind of described it to my buddy, but and how would you describe the Retro Emporium, perhaps for like somebody who's never been there before?
You did a job there, actually. So it's, yeah, I mean, I started off with a lot more vintage, but it's fine stuff. So that's where I was like, I need to incorporate new stuff, but with retro vibe or the retro feel. And part of that is, I don't know, I just have a knack for curating, putting things together to make it happen. But really, the inspiration behind the whole store was that Greg and I, when we first met, we loved going to stores. We loved going to thrift stores and video game stores and comic book stores. But what we found is that like that would take 3 days, and it was just a lot of time and effort to go to separate places. And in going to the separate places, most of the time they were dirty, dingy, not organized. And it drove me. I walked out of several shops because of that. So when it came time for us to do the store, I thought, you know what, it needs to do this, but then, like we can do this better. And so I just pulled everything together. And in my years of retail, really merchandise and the old, fit 12 feet of product into 8 feet of space. I'm handy because I've really packed a lot into this small little space of mine. But I wanted to keep it clean and organized, and all of the vintage goods, I'm really picky, and I don't like to just throw stuff. So it's, I don't know, yeah, it's sort of like a conglomeration of everything, new, used, and it's not just like, I still get people walking in going, "What is this? I don't understand." And it smells like Fruit Loops.
Yep. I love that. And again, and you already said it, but like one of the things that like the first time I took Lucky through there, and again, she wasn't sure what exactly to expect, because like, you know, she's been to like Comic-Cons with me, and when early in our relationship we went to like a lot of comic book shops, a lot of collectible shops, a lot of antique stores. I know I got the signal early on when she would just like kind of, you know, gently touch me on the shoulder and say like, "I'll be waiting outside." But the thing when I first took her to the Retro Emporium, she's just like, "Wow, this is really clean. This is really nice." So I think one of the things that you've knocked out of the park is that it's approachable. You know, it's well lit. It's nice, that it's spacious. You can walk around and look at stuff, and it's not everything just like packed so tight that, you know, it's not grungy, for lack of a better term. It's a very, very nice shop, and I think folks would have a great time checking it out. So definitely check out the Retro Emporium down in Kent, and go check out the Record Room. Watch those you watching on the video. You can see that's where Ann is broadcasting from now. While we're talking about the Record Room, I know from conversations in the past, you know, we've talked about how like your collection of stuff for the Retro Emporium is very well curated, and as you've already mentioned, you're picky on vinyl stuff. I'm sorry, picky on the vintage stuff that you bring in. But what are you on the lookout for? Like, are you on the lookout for vinyl, or are you on the lookout for like tapes or CDs or music or anything like that?
Well, people always ask me if we buy stuff. My top things is like, yes, video games. Those are two things that I will always look at no matter what. And it's taken a while. I can now finally confidently look through tote at first and be like, yeah, no, okay, and be able to figure things out. Curve was learning the whole thing, learning the grading process, and how different your novice record collector is, because the, you know, much older audiophile who has 3,000 albums in his house and learning obviously how to like figure out to both ends of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you bring up a really good question that I just now thought of, because like I have a couple friends who are audiophiles and are vinyl collectors. Like they're into like, you know, super limited stuff, collector's edition stuff. Me personally, I'm a very, very, very casual vinyl collector. Like I have like a couple things, like I've participated like in a couple like crowdfunders for like, you know, folks that I'm friends with, and I've picked up a couple collectible things, like, you know, when I was at a TFCon in Los Angeles last month, Vince DiCola, the composer for Transformers the movie, was selling the soundtrack album on vinyl, the score. So I had to buy that from him and get it autographed, and it's when I got it home to play it, I noticed that, like, I forget what the sticker on it says. It's like some kind of like heavy grade vinyl, but basically like when I picked it up, the actual albums had like a weight and heft to them that I hadn't really experienced before. Again, I don't have a whole lot of records, but like it's a thick record. So like it's like 1080 grams, some such, but it's like some like collector grade vinyl. So what I guess then what I wanted to ask then is like, so Anne, you mentioned that you try as best as you can to kind of cater to both ends of the vinyl collector spectrum, but like, what's your vinyl collecting sensibilities like? I mean, like, are you into collecting vinyl? What are you into? That kind of stuff. It's a whole new weird world for me that I don't know a lot about.
Yeah, we have that was like one thing I always look for at the thrift shop. There's growing up, that's records in our house. My mom played mostly like Christian rock, but I also had like all Disney soundtracks, and like Michael Jack Thriller was the album that I bought with my own money. And so I think I still have that somewhere. And then I got picked up a lot of the year. We have sort of a middle range record player set up, so every once in a while we'll throw something. Actually, we have that Transformers soundtrack. It's amazing. And so yeah, I don't know, like I'm not super avid, but I do enjoy it. It's kind of fun to see all the different types and variations that they've come out. Like the gram that you speak of, that is like, it is probably the best sound quality achieved. And that's the respect of the audio files. I came in like, oh yeah, sure, you're just a thrift store with a fancy name, and I'm gonna find anything but like Barbra Streisand and whatever else here. But then they're going through and they realize, oh wait, like stuff. And then when I started bringing in the new vinyl, I did some research to figure out, okay, what and so I started bringing in sort of the 180 gram stuff, and then the music on vinyl, I think, is the actual thing that does the higher quality stuff. And so I have a couple guys that kind of looking specific to those. They can anywhere. Going. So yeah.
Awesome. So Andrea, I know that you are a music lover, a music enthusiast, and there are a number of bands and musicians that you've been very passionate about. But one thing I don't know is like, are you a vinyl collector? Are you like into the scene?
Yeah, actually, I've been collecting since I was like 13. I have over 100, which for me I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could show you. Well, maybe.
It's fine.
I have some on my wall. And it kind of tells the story of how I got started. I'm a big fan of the Cars. And how I started collecting was I just walked into a half-price bookstore one day, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw one of their albums, and it became my goal to find all of their albums on vinyl. But me being 13, I didn't have money. So, I mean, I was just buying whatever I could, and they were all used, and I was buying, I found one of them for like $1. So the records I have, they don't play very well. But I started to just like having the physical thing, getting to have like the large scale, album covers and be able to read the liner notes and the thank you section and see their lyrics and things like that. So as I was looking for this one band in particular, I started looking across the whole, the whole section. So yeah, I've been slowly over the years buying more and more records. So yeah, I've got a good sized collection that I've accumulated.
Awesome. So are you into like the collectible stuff, or are you just more into it for like, I just like this record, or I just like this artist, or is it like a little bit of everything? Do you got anything like really crazy?
I mean, if I see like a really popular like album or just a really famous album, yeah, I'll just grab it. And yeah, like I said, I'll buy the cheapest version. I care about just having the thing. If they play, great. Um, Anne mentioned Thriller. I saw Thriller at one of these shops, and so I bought Thriller. Um,
Nice.
Actually, one of the most unusual. It's not an original, and it's a little creepy. Um, but there was an album cover that the Beatles released where it's them holding like bloody baby dolls. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Hmm.
They're bloody little dismembered baby dolls.
Okay.
And people were horrified by this. And so they started slapping a different cover on top of this album. So if you're able to find one of those original ones where they just put a different picture on top of them, those go for a lot of money, and some
Mm-hmm.
people will go through, painstaking measures to like slip or to like rip off the cover to reveal the original morbid
Oh my gosh.
cover. But
Wow.
I found, I guess, one of the reprinted ones where it's like, no, we're keeping the morbid one. It's not one of my proudest albums, but I was like, you know what? It tells a story.
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique item. It's
Yeah.
a collectible type of thing that's a little harder to find. Yeah, no, I totally get that. That's awesome. So Andrea, while I got you, let's kind of talk about what the current state of KGRG is. What's going on with today's rock?
Today's rock, I think it's going to be going through a lot of changes.
Oh.
I That's what I feel, at least. Yeah, we're going to be getting a new director of broadcasting pretty soon-ish in the
Mm-hmm.
coming months. And I think with that, we're going to see some changes within the station. But it's going to be, I mean, similar, I think, to how it's always been, where, you get on, hands-on experience, and it's going to be mainly student run and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So um, it's still going to have that unique experience that not all other college stations will give students, where it's like, hey, day one, get on the mic, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Um, yeah, I think that's the thing that's gonna stick around the most, is just,
Awesome.
yeah, the hands-on experience.
Well, and that's the primary spirit of the place, and I think what makes KGRG and the broadcasting program at Green River College unique from other programs of its type, because there are tons of college radio stations and there are tons of college broadcasting programs, but very rarely do they intersect. Like, there's a lot of great broadcasting colleges, but they don't have a station for the students to actually work on. Or
Hmm.
like there'll be a college radio station, but like it'll be staffed by pros and run as a professional corporate radio station.
Yeah, or you have to be like a junior or senior in college to ever step foot. So
Yeah.
this is the complete opposite.
Exactly, and that's always been part of the charm. I think of KGRG. Like I know one of the things that I used to like to do before I got too far away from the program, where I didn't really know what the academic calendar was anymore. I would love to tune in during training week to hear like the baby DJs getting on the mic for the first time and be like, hi. My name is Mike, and this song is motionless and white, and
Meanwhile, the music is too loud
yeah,
and they don't
yeah.
they've hit pause, they don't know how to hit it again, and yeah.
It's adorable. I love it,
Yeah.
and I could do that because like I was that guy. Also, I didn't turn my music down enough, so it was like my first air break is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't even hear it,
We've we've all
but
been
no,
there.
I love this radio program because it gives kids of all age, creative kids like you said, Andrea, an opportunity and an outlet without having to sit through years or months or even weeks of full study before you actually touch the radio console and get on the mic. It's like back in my day, it was like week 2 of instruction, and
Hmm.
you're touching the equipment and talking on the radio, and that's the best way to learn is by experience. And I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. Like I have there's a straight line between my experience at KGRG at Green River College to what I'm doing now here tonight, not just with you fine folks, but what I do for my job also. Like I work at a radio station here in town, and we use literally the same scheduling software as we do as we did at KGRG. So it's like I came very prepared for my real job in real radio because of my specific experience at KGRG, and it was one of the things that set me apart as a potential candidate for the position from other folks. There were other folks that applied for the job I have now that didn't have that same hands-on experience that I had. At KGRG. So again, I'm always grateful to the program and for that experience. So that being said, though, let's as we get ready to close out, talking about Vinylthon, an event that's going to be coming up on Saturday, April 23rd. That is going to be in the record room at the Retro Emporium in Kent, in partnership with 89.9 KGRG-FM. Andrea, I guess I would like to ask. So you had mentioned that. Representatives from the radio station will be there. They'll have a table and can talk about the radio program and follow up on, things folks may have heard about us talk about here in this podcast. But is there any kind of connectivity to programming on the station on KGRG? Like, are you like running vinyl records, or like let's talk about what KGRG is doing on the radio for
Yeah.
Vinylthon in addition to the in-person event.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. We always forgot to mention we're going to be playing vinyl. We too are participating. So yeah, there's going to be at least a person or two at the store. We'll be, if you want to, donate, or you just want to talk about radio, or want to get involved with our program, we can talk about that. But in the background, you're going to be hearing DJs at the station playing vinyl, and yeah, we're gonna play that in the store. So you're gonna hear some live vinyl coming from
Ah,
KGRG.
that is super rad. I had a feeling that's what you guys were going to do, but I forgot to ask and didn't quite line up the conversation that way. But that's super cool. Can we talk about like some of the stuff that you might be playing? Because like when I was there at KGRG, we had and this might be a little too inside baseball for some folks, but I also know a lot of my listeners are super into like that insider stuff also. But at KGRG, there's it's a computer-based scheduling system where the music director, who may or may not still be Cool Guy Luke,
Mm-hmm.
who regularly loads and schedules music, and it basically, as the DJ at KGRG, you curate the schedule system to make sure like the breaks play on time, that all of the scheduled songs play. My point being is like it's very much on the computer. Like there's a wall of CDs there for backup for when the scheduling system goes down, which is few and far between, but I do remember vividly that one time Trevor spent an entire afternoon playing CDs, and by the time somebody found him, he was sitting on the floor with a stack of empty jewel cases from just like throwing CDs back and forth in the two CD players before somebody was able to engineer was able to come help and get the system back online. Long-winded way of saying KGRG doesn't necessarily have a huge vinyl library there on hand, so I was just kind of wondering what listeners might be in store for while during Vinylthon, while they'll be playing it on the radio live on 89.9 as it'll be heard at the Retro Emporium.
Yeah, so KGRG does have a small supply of some vinyls, but it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. Basically, people are going to be bringing whatever they have, and we're not going to get super crazy. It's not going to be like, oh, we're going to play rock and then here's Tiny Tim or something. Like it's not going to vary like crazy. But it basically everyone's been told, yeah, bring whatever you want. But maybe if you have like Wu-Tang Clan, maybe not.
Oh my gosh, that's because you gotta keep it clean for the kiddos.
Gotta keep it clean. That's a big big part of it too.
Yeah, maybe leave your 2 Live Crew vinyl at home.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But that's awesome. It sounds like it's going to be a really fun event, a really cool day of programming. So that is going to be happening in the record room of the Retro Emporium down in Kent from noon to 2 p.m. Do I have that time correct?
Yes, we can guarantee that. If we can go longer, we are definitely open to it, but definitely 12 noon to 2.
Gotcha. So come down to Kent and come hang out and learn about KGRG and listen to the vinyl and check out the shop. It's going to be a really fun day and a really fun time. And again, I just want to remind you, Vinylthon 2022, Saturday, April 23rd. It's your opportunity to support the next generation of radio stars. That's really kind of the mission of Vinylthon, through the College Radio Foundation, helping struggling college students who just aspire to have a career in radio. It's a fundraiser event. So in addition to raising awareness, KGRG is also looking to raise funds in partnership with the Retro Emporium. So you can come down and kick into the tip jar while you're there. And basically so Vinylthon has like a scholarship thing, but this is just where folks are contributing directly to KGRG, right?
We can direct you to the website. The website has a way for you to donate specifically to the scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really everybody's choice. Oh, we lost Anne.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh, she came back.
She's back. Yeah.
Wonderful.
If you want to donate to Vinylthon, great. If you want to donate to KGRG, awesome. If you want to, participate or look around at Retro Emporium, support that business. It's everybody's. We got the options.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win all around.
No.
Very, very cool. And one of the calls to action that kind of lit a fire under me, and I'm looking at Vinylthon's website, vinylthon.com. It says, if you ever worked in college radio, this is your chance to pay it forward. So that is literally what I'm doing. Is I'm a huge fan of college radio in all its forms, and especially my heart will always belong to KGRG, and it's just a terrific program there at Green River College. So check out the website, KGRG.com, and there should be plenty of links available to where you can learn more about the class schedule.
Yes.
I would imagine spring quarter is probably...
This is the second week.
Okay.
Yeah, this
So-
is the second week.
So spring quarter is already underway, so you'd be looking at summer quarter, which, not for nothing, back in 2015, yours truly started in summer quarter, and I got, I've told this story a million times, but basically, like, I had just finished my IT degree in that spring, so I graduated, and then I was thinking about what I was going to do over the summer, and in the last week of classes or something like that, I go into this hallway and I see a flyer. It says, "Be on the radio, KGRG," and it's got a picture of like plucky college kids like operating a console, and I was like, we have a radio station? I've been going to college here for 4 years, and I had 2 years. What am I talking about? I ended up being there 2 years because I did KGRG for 2 years. Anyway, I had no idea there was a radio station, and I walked into the class, and just as soon as I started touching the equipment, I got bit by the bug, and 6 years later, I'm still here talking into a microphone with my friends, celebrating the spirit of radio, as that song goes. So anyway, come out to Vinylthon and support the folks at Retro Emporium, and support KGRG, and listen to KGRG on 89.9 FM. And it's a very weak radio signal, but if you listen on KGRG.com and iHeartRadio and a couple other places, the online stream is pretty good. Oh yeah, and the brand new KGRG-FM app. I totally forgot about that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, I think that I think that just about covers it. Before we part ways, let's do a quick round of like final thoughts, and if let folks know where we can connect with you, like either on like social medias or internets, or anything else with that. And since your internet is getting a little spotty, let's see if we can get you crossed off. Could you remind folks where the Retro Emporium is, and if there's any like social media and or internet places that folks can go, and if there's anything else that you want to promote with regards to Retro Emporium, the floor is yours.
So we are located at 328 West Meeker Street in Kent, sort of the old historic.
I don't hear you, Mike.
Oh, how about that?
Oh, now I can hear you.
I had my microphone muted to let Ann talk, and then the internet burpees got her. Ann, you still with us?
Oh.
No, froze. Okay, well, a good thing I have the opportunity to edit and post for podcasting. Yeah. So Andrea, while I got you, I know we've talked a lot about KGRG and Green River and all of that other stuff, but if you wouldn't mind, could you just kind of let folks know where they can go on the internets and the socials to learn all of the things that they need to, as well as anything else you would like to plug as well?
All right. Yeah. So, KGRG, for anything new with KGRG, I would encourage you to follow us on Twitter or Facebook. That's where you're gonna get the most, up-to-date stuff. We have at least one or two radio classes, that are being offered each quarter. Um, Vinylthon is April 23rd, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday.
Yep.
Am I missing anything?
I
I
don't
think
think
that's it.
so. I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Listen to KGRG-FM 89.9 or on the app.
Do you wanna throw a plug for your new resurrected radio show?
It's in fetus stages, but yeah, I'm Wednesdays from 6 to 9 p.m. It's a bit of a talk show. I just kind of rant about things that I like. So if you want to hear my manifestos about the Red Hot Chili Peppers or something like that, that's where you go for that.
I love it. Do you got any Chili Peppers on vinyl, by the way?
No, I don't.
Oh man,
I don't.
maybe you can find yourself a copy at the Retro Emporium when you go.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because I mean they got some cool stuff. They've got some really cool vinyl actually.
Can confirm they do. The place smells like Fruit Loops.
It totally does.
It is clearly there.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
walked in for the first time on Sunday actually, and I was like, "Wow, this is really cool!" And whoa, who's eating Fruit Loops?
That is terrific. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for taking the time to join me here on the live stream, and thank you to Anne as well. Definitely go check out the Retro Emporium down in Kent. The address for Retro Emporium is 328 West Meeker Street in Kent, Washington. That's kind of in the historic downtown Kent area. It's in a really cool spot. I guess I would refer to it as in like the cute downtown area. It's like you can walk up and down. There's several other shops. It's really nice. It's really safe. It's a really cool area to check out. And of course, like we've already said a number of times, Vinylthon 2022 is coming up on Saturday, April 23rd. That is going to be in the Record Room at the Retro Emporium in partnership with 89.9 KGRG FM. And listen to 89.9 KGRG FM during Vinylthon on that Saturday to hear some sweet records as well. And I think with that'll wrap things up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us. And if you want to listen to all of my past shows, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, or wherever the heck else you get your podcasts. You can become a Mike Cybertronian and join the MSRP Friends and Fans Facebook group and tune in for the Mike Cybert Radio Podcast live stream right here, streaming on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. Like, share, rate, and review the show. Let us know what you'd like and what you'd like to hear more of in the future. For my guests, Anne and Andrea, 2 A's, 2 Furious. My name is Mike. This has been Mike Cybert Radio. And until next time, you know what to do. Make good choices. All right. And I think that'll do it. I'm going to hit the button